Welcome, everyone. Today's safety training covers three important topics that affect every one of us on the job site: accident and investigation reporting, fatigue management, and heat illness prevention for hot weather work. Please pay close attention throughout the session. This information we are sharing today could save your life or the life of your coworker. So let's get started. When an accident or incident occurs on the job site, there are specific reporting requirements we must follow. These come from two levels. First, company specific requirements. Each company has its own procedures that include contact information, time requirements, and comprehension standards, all aimed at determining action items specific to the company. Second, OSHA required timelines. OSHA mandates that any hospitalization must be reported within 8 hours. As a best practice, we also encourage everyone to honestly assess the five W's: who, what, where, when, and why, so that reports are thorough and accurate from the start. The best way to handle accidents is to prevent them in the first place. That starts with conducting a thorough job and site hazard analysis before any work begins. When assessing your work site, look at the overall layout and identify potential trip and slip hazards, pathway hazards, and any tool issues. Don't forget to look up overhead hazards are frequently overlooked. You should also evaluate equipment and vehicles, including mechanical equipment, pressurized equipment, and anything that is energized. Identifying these hazards before work starts is the first line of defense. Your Job Safety Analysis, or JSA, is a living document that should guide you through every phase of work. Think about what could go wrong during mobilization. That's before work even officially starts. Consider the hazards while preparing for work, then during the actual work itself. And don't let your guard down at the end. Incidents happen during finalization, cleanup, and demobilization too. The JSA is only effective if it's used consistently throughout every phase. Make sure everyone on your team understands and follows it. So, if an accident does occur, you need to act quickly and follow these steps. First, assess the severity. How serious is the injury or damage? Second, prevent additional issues. Are there other personnel still in harm's way? Remove them from the hazard immediately if it's safe to do so. Third, contact your company's third party medical care hotline. For example, we have here the phone number for Extreme MD. Whatever third party medical provider you use, store that number in your phone. Make sure to call it whenever you need medical triage or assistance. Fourth, perform medical care as directed. Fifth, contact appropriate personnel and take the action required by your company's procedure. Remember, in an emergency, speed matters. Not all incidents are equal. When assessing property damage, we use four levels. A minor incident involves minimal impact to equipment that is still operational. Think a fender bender or a broken tool. While work may slow, it does not stop. A major incident involves equipment failure or disrepair that stops or delays work, with the potential for minor injury. A serious incident involves fire, explosion, or serious injury risk. And a catastrophic incident involves more than $500,000 in damage, loss of well control, or complete loss of control of equipment. Understanding which level you are dealing with determines the urgency and type of response required. Injury severity is also assessed in levels. First, 8 injuries do not require medical attention. Think like minor cuts requiring a band aid, bruising, sprains, or small strains. Minor, non recordable injuries require medical attention, such as medical glue, an x ray, or over the counter medication. Serious and potentially recordable injuries involve stitches, broken teeth, or bones, work restrictions, or prescribed medication. And major injuries require hospitalization or result in significant work restrictions or prevention from working. Accurately identifying the level of injury helps ensure the right response and reporting is initiated immediately. After an incident occurs and you've assessed severity, you need to reach the right people right away. Emergency numbers include 911 and your company's occupational medicine and emergency line. You should also notify your supervisor and your operations manager. If law enforcement needs to be involved, contact the police. One important point about media and phones here: do not make any statements to the media or post about the incident on social media. Direct all external communication through your management chain. Having these numbers pre-saved in your phone is essential. Don't wait until the emergency to look these numbers up. The first moments after an incident are the most critical. Within the first hour, identify who to call and make those calls. Within 8 hours, determine what to report and file those appropriate notifications, especially for fatalities, which must be reported to OSHA within this window. Within 24 hours, document what steps are being taken and submit your initial incident report. Within 1 week, the final report should be complete, depending on the severity of the incident. Having a clear action plan for each of these time frames prevents delays and ensures nothing falls through the cracks. So let's be specific about reporting timelines. Generally, a verbal or written report should be made to your supervisor within the same work shift in which the incident occurred. If medical attention is required, evaluation must be completed the same day. Early medical evaluations are typically fast and inexpensive. Delays make them far more costly and time consuming. Most consumers and clients require an initial report within 24 hours, regardless of the type of injury or incident. The final report is typically due within 2 to 7 days, depending on the severity. Follow these timelines, protects the worker, the company, and maintains compliance. Why does timing matter so much? Because in emergency, seconds and minutes can mean the difference between life and death. After the heart stops, a person has approximately 6 minutes before brain death without CPR. Internal hemorrhaging can be fatal if not managed within 6 hours. And even seemingly minor injuries, if left unreported, can develop into serious conditions that your company's insurance may not cover later. This is why we take reporting seriously. Not to place blame, but to protect people. If a serious incident does occur, one involving fire, explosion, chemical release, or a major injury, there is a clear sequence of actions to follow. First, move all personnel to the designated muster point, which should be upwind or crosswind of the hazard. Second, take a head count to account for every person. Third, ensure that appropriate personnel, supervisors, emergency services, operations manager, have been contacted. Fourth, arrange transport for any injured personnel. Fifth, if you are trained and is safe to do so, perform rescue operations. Do not attempt rescue if you are not qualified. A second victim does not help the first. Preserving the incident scene is critical for investigation purposes. Do not attempt to understand all root causes during the immediate aftermath. That analysis comes later. If personnel are in shock, do not gather information from them at this time. Cordon off any sensitive areas to prevent contamination of the scene. If equipment or material absolutely must be moved, for example, to provide medical access, take photographs first. Leave all equipment, materials, and involved vehicles in their original location if at all possible. A preserved scene leads to a better investigation and better prevention in the future. Once the immediate emergency is stabilized, gather witness statements from all personnel who were on site at the time of the incident. Don't skip anyone, even if those who were nearby but not directly involved may have seen something important. Collect complete data covering all 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why, if known. Most importantly, ensure that statements provide clear factual data without speculation. Witness statements are a cornerstone of a quality investigation, so they must be factual, thorough, and collected as soon as it is safely possible while memories are still fresh. A thorough incident investigation looks at the 5 key elements: procedure, were the existing procedures thorough and adequate to assess risk and communicate the right way to do the job? Training, were personnel properly trained to safely perform the tasks they were completing? Environment, to what extent were environmental factors like heat, wind, or poor visibility involved? Equipment, was the equipment adequate, properly inspected, maintained, or did it fail? And historical precedents. Are there known past events where similar incidents occurred that could have informed better prevention? Addressing all 5 elements leads to meaningful corrective action. A good incident report has specific qualities. It should be concise, no unnecessary filler. It should be thorough, no important details left out. It should clearly identify the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why. It must assign corrective action items so problems get fixed. And critically, it should avoid assigning blame. The purpose of a report is not to punish, it's to learn, correct, and prevent future incidents. Reports written with accountability, but without finger pointing, lead to real improvements in the safety culture. We are now moving into our second topic: fatigue management. The theme here is simple: be at your best, get some rest. Fatigue is one of the most underestimated hazards in any workplace, but is especially dangerous in our industry where heavy equipment, hazardous materials, and critical decisions are part of everyday work. Let's take a deeper look at what fatigue is, what it does to us, and what we can do about it. Fatigue has significant influence on both health and safety. This portion of our training was developed specifically to increase employee awareness of fatigue, help you manage personal risk factors, and prevent fatigue-related injuries and illnesses. We want every worker going home safe at the end of every shift, and managing fatigue is a big part of making that happen. So what is fatigue? Fatigue is defined as a feeling of tiredness or exhaustion resulting from physical or mental exertion. Think of it as your body sending you a message: it needs to rest. Fatigue can be made worse by acute lack of sleep, meaning you don't get enough sleep that night, or by accumulated sleep debt, where you've had multiple nights of insufficient sleep that build up over time. Both forms impair your ability to work safely, and both need to be taken seriously. The physical effects of fatigue on performance are significant and dangerous. Fatigue impairs your ability to see properly. Your eyes may not focus correctly or track movement accurately. Your reflexes and reaction times slow down significantly. You may experience microsleep, brief involuntary sleep episodes lasting up to 60 seconds without even realizing it. You you may slip into automatic behavior, essentially going on autopilot for routine tasks, meaning you complete actions without conscious awareness or attention to detail. Each of these dramatically increase the risk of an accident. Beyond the physical effects, fatigue severely impacts your mental performance. When fatigued, you lose the ability to make wise decisions or form good plans. Problem solving becomes difficult, and sustaining concentration is nearly impossible. Your general alertness, awareness, and watchfulness decrease, and your short term memory is impaired. You may not be able to remember actions you just took or things you recently observed. On a job site where situational awareness is critical to safety, these cognitive impairments are extremely dangerous. Fatigue also affects behaviors in ways that compound safety risk. Fatigued workers make mistakes more frequently. They are less able to respond efficiently and effectively when something changes quickly, which is exactly when you need your best judgment. Communication becomes less effective, which can lead to misunderstandings and errors. Handling stress appropriately becomes harder. And fatigued workers often experience dramatic mood swings, cycling through emotions like being giddy, depressed, elated, irritable, impatient, bored, restless, or grouchy. These emotional changes can affect team dynamics and create conflict exactly the wrong moments. Looking at fatigue from a broader workplace perspective, fatigued workers tend to get sick or be absent more often. They resign from positions more frequently, leading to higher turnover, which itself creates new hazards as less experienced workers fill roles. Most critically, for our purposes, fatigued workers are more likely to cause or be involved in accidents. The data is clear. Fatigue is a workplace safety hazard that must be managed systematically, not just individually. In addition to increased accidents and absenteeism, fatigue shows up in day to day work quality. Fatigue workers work slower and need to double check their work more often, reducing productivity. They rely heavily on coworkers, putting additional burden on others. And they tend to avoid complex and difficult tasks, meaning important work may be put off or delegated inappropriately. Recognizing these behaviors in yourself and your teammates is an important part of managing fatigue proactively. Fatigue doesn't happen in a vacuum. Workplace conditions can significantly increase its negative effects. Environmental factors that amplify fatigue include extreme heat or cold, adverse weather such as rain, snow, and wind, loud noise from machinery, and even homesickness, particularly relevant for workers on extended rotations away from their families. Being aware of these compounding factors helps supervisors and workers make better decisions about work scheduling, rest breaks, and monitoring. There are concrete steps we can take to reduce fatigue, both physical and cultural. On the physical side, ergonomic equipment like anti fatigue mats and lifting aids can reduce physical strain. Ergonomic seating also helps. Workers should limit the use of caffeine and energy drinks, which provide short term alertness but ultimately worsen sleep quality. On the cultural and administrative side, we should create work environments that promote alertness, apply engineering and administrative controls, ensure there are sufficient resources, both personnel and equipment, and avoid undesirable environmental conditions wherever possible. This is a critical slide. Creating a safe culture around fatigue requires commitment at every level. We must not penalize workers who need rest due to fatigue. Workers must feel safe reporting fatigue or a lack of mental focus to their supervisors without fear of retaliation. Supervisors are required to take appropriate action to prevent loss when fatigue is reported. We must not reward productivity over health and safety. Incentive programs should never encourage behaviors that contribute to fatigue. And positive performance reviews should reflect adherence to safety practices, not just output. The message is clear: your health and well being come before productivity. Our third and final topic today is hot weather work and heat illness prevention. Working in hot conditions is a real and serious hazard. Heat illness can come on quickly and can be fatal if not recognized and treated immediately. Let's make sure every person on this team knows what to watch for and what to do. OSHA standard for heat illness prevention, found in 29 CFR 1910, applies to all outdoor places of employment where heat illness is a potential hazard. Under this standard, there are specific requirements that must be met. Employers must provide heat illness prevention training for both supervisors and employees. Cool drinking water must be provided and accessible. Shade also must be accessible. A local procedure for heat illness prevention must be in place and communicated. This isn't optional. There are legal requirements designed to keep workers safe. Before any work begins in warm weather conditions, supervisors and employees must be trained on several key topics. They need to know the department's heat illness prevention procedures and understand both environmental and personal risk factors for heat illness. They must know the importance of drinking water throughout the entire shift, not just when they feel thirsty. They must understand acclimatization, giving your body time to adjust to the heat. They need to recognize the common signs and symptoms of heat illness and know how to report them to a supervisor immediately. And everyone must know the emergency response procedures. Several environmental factors increase the likelihood of heat illness. These include high air temperature, high humidity, which reduces the body's ability to cool itself through sweating, and limited air movement. Radiant heat from direct sunshine and conductive heat from hot surfaces like pavement or equipment also raise the body's heat load significantly. The higher the physical intensity and duration of the work, the greater the risk. And PPE, or clothing choices such as Tyvek coveralls, can trap heat and dramatically increase your risk. Always factor in what you're wearing when you're assessing your heat exposure. Beyond environmental conditions, personal factors also affect your vulnerability to heat illness. Poor physical condition can reduce the body's ability to cope with heat stress. Age plays a role. Both younger and older workers may be more susceptible. The degree of acclimatization matters greatly. Workers new to a hot environment are at much higher risk. Adequate water consumption is essential. Some medications can interfere with your body's ability to regulate temperature. If you are on any medications, we recommend checking with your personal physician about your heat illness risk. Alcohol and drug use also significantly impair heat tolerance. So it's helpful to understand how your body responds to heat. How does it handle it? The body works hard to maintain constant internal temperature. When internal temperature rises due to physical activity or hot conditions, the body cools itself through two primary mechanisms. It increases blood flow to the skin surface, which allows the heat to radiate outward, and it releases sweat onto the skin surface, which cools the body through evaporation. Both of these mechanisms depend on adequate hydration. When the body can't keep up with the heat load, heat illness follows. Heat exhaustion occurs when the body loses too much water and salt through sweating. It is serious, but it is treatable if recognized early. Signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion include headache, dizziness, lightheadedness, or fainting. Affected workers may have weakness and moist skin. Muscle cramps are common. Mood changes, such as irritability or confusion, may occur, and the person may experience upset stomach or vomiting. If you or a coworker shows these signs and symptoms, get to a cool area, drink water, and notify your supervisor immediately. Do not push through. Heat exhaustion can escalate to heat stroke rapidly. This slide provides a visual reference for the signs of heat exhaustion. Familiarize yourself with these indicators so you can recognize them quickly in yourself and others around you. Early recognition is key. The sooner heat exhaustion is identified and treated, the lower the risk of it escalating into more dangerous and potential fatal condition of heat stroke. So, heat stroke. It is a true medical emergency. It occurs when the body's entire cooling system breaks down completely. Unlike heat exhaustion, heat stroke requires immediate emergency response. Symptoms include sweating stopping completely, while the skin becomes hot, red, and dry. The person may experience mental confusion or loss of consciousness. If anyone on your crew shows these signs, call 911 immediately. Do not wait. Do not try to drive into the hospital yourself unless emergency services are unavailable. Heat stroke can be fatal within minutes if not treated properly. For any of the heat illness symptoms we discuss, follow the emergency response protocol. Immediately call 911. While waiting for help to arrive, move the victim to a cool area as quickly as possible. If the person is conscious and not nauseous, give them small sips of water. Loosen and remove excessive clothing. Fan and mist the person with water. Apply a water-soaked towel or ice pack wrapped in a towel to the head and ice packs to the armpits. Contact your supervisor immediately. And critically, anyone showing symptoms of heat illness must never be sent home or left unattended without a medical evaluation first. These simple steps can save a life. So, prevention is always better than treatment. The remainder of our training covers the specific prevention measures that we are required and expected to implement. These fall into three main categories: access to water and hydration, access to shade, and work planning and supervision. Let's go through each one. Access to cool drinking water must always be available on every job site. We recommend consuming at least 4 cups of water per hour for the entire work shift. That is approximately 1 liter per hour. Do not wait until you are thirsty to drink. By the time you feel thirst, you may have already become dehydrated. This slide also shows a urine color reference chart. which is simple and an effective way to monitor your hydration level throughout the day. Pale yellow means you are well hydrated. Dark yellow or amber means you need to drink more water immediately. A shaded rest area must be provided as close as practical to your work area. Refer to your department's local procedures for specifically where the shade is located on your site. When you feel the need to cool down, use it. Don't tough it out. Taking frequent cool down breaks in the shade during hot weather is not a sign of weakness. It is sound safety practice and is required under our heat illness prevention program. Supervisors must actively encourage workers to use shade, not just make it technically available. Supervisors play a key role in preventing heat illness through smart work planning. Smart work planning. When higher temperatures are forecast, schedule outdoor work during the cooler parts of the day, typically early morning. For the most strenuous task, plan staff rotation so no single worker is exposed to heavy heat stress for extended periods. Always assess conditions using weather forecasts and current real-time weather readings, and pay special attention to the humidity. High humidity dramatically increases the heat load on the body, even when the air temperature seems manageable. Acclimatization is one of the most important and most overlooked aspects of heat illness prevention. The human body typically adapts to outdoor temperature increases within 4 to 14 days. To minimize risk during the adjustment period, work schedules and intensities should be gradually adjusted over a 2-week period. New employees or those returning from extended leave are at the greatest risk because they may not yet be adapted to local weather or work intensity. Supervisors must be extra vigilant with these workers, monitoring them closely, ensure they drink water, and encourage more frequent breaks. When outdoor temperatures reach 85 degrees Fahrenheit or above, supervisors have specific responsibilities. Shade must be present for all employee rest breaks. If a worker has only brief periods outdoors without nearby shade, they must be instructed on how to access shade quickly as needed. If shade cannot be provided, supervisors must document the reason and outline what alternative cooling measures are in place. Workers must be reminded throughout the day to drink water and take cool down breaks. There must be an effective means for employees to contact supervisors and emergency services. Supervisors must regularly monitor employees for alertness and signs of heat illness, and new employees must receive especially close supervision. Finally, every site must have a documented written heat illness prevention procedures. These procedures should cover supervisor and employee training requirements, plan for access to water and shade, monitoring methods for employees, and reporting procedures for signs and symptoms. There must also address how to respond to heat illness without delay, including first aid and how to access emergency services. Procedures should include clear and precise directions to the work site for emergency responders. All supervisors and employees must be trained on these procedures. Training must be documented, and the written procedures must be maintained on site or close to the site, so they are available to employees upon request. That concludes today's safety training. Thank you for your attention and your commitment to working safely. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is in the safety meeting training link. Thank you. I've been Jerry with Basin Safety in Williston, North Dakota.